Colombo, January 1897, Part 3. But there is another peculiarity, and I have already hinted to you. We never preach our thoughts with fire and sword. If there is one word in the English language to represent the gifts of India to the world, if there is one word in the English language to express the effect which the literature of India produces upon mankind, it is this one word: fascination. It is the opposite of anything that takes you suddenly. It throws on you, as it were, a charm imperceptibly. To many, Indian thought, Indian manners, Indian customs, Indian philosophy, Indian literature are repulsive at the first sight. But let them persevere, let them read, let them become familiar with the great principles underlying these ideas. And it is 99 to 1 that the charm will come over them and fascination will be the result. Slow and silent as the gentle dew that falls in the morning, unseen and unheard, yet producing a most tremendous result, has been the work of the calm, patient, all-suffering spiritual race upon the world of thought. Once more, history is going to repeat itself. For today, under the blasting light of modern science, when old and apparently strong and invulnerable beliefs have been shattered to their very foundations, when special claims laid to the allegiance of mankind by different sections have been all blown into atoms and have vanished into air, when the sledgehammer blows of modern antiquarian researches are pulverizing like masses of porcelain all sorts of antiquated orthodoxies, when religion in the West is only in the hands of the ignorant and the knowing ones look down with scorn upon anything belonging to religion, here comes to the fore the philosophy of India, which displays the highest religious aspirations of the Indian mind, where the grandest philosophical facts have been the practical spirituality of the people. This naturally is coming to the rescue. The idea of the oneness of all, the infinite, the idea of the impersonal, the wonderful idea of the eternal soul of man, of the unbroken continuity in the march of beings and the infinity of the universe. The old sections looked upon the world as a little mud puddle and thought that time began but the other day. It was there in our old books and only there that the grand idea of the infinite range of time, space, and causation, and above all, the infinite glory of the spirit of man governed all the search for religion. When the modern tremendous theories of evolution and conservation of energy and so forth are dealing death blows to all sorts of crude theologies, what can hold any more the allegiance of cultured humanity but the most wonderful, convincing, broadening, and ennobling ideas that can be found only in that most marvelous product of the soul of man, the wonderful voice of God, the Vedanta. At the same time, I must remark that what I mean by our religion working upon the nations outside of India comprises only the principles, the background, the foundation upon which that religion is built. The detailed workings, the minute points, which have been worked out through centuries of social necessity, little ratiocinations about mannerisms and customs and social well-being, do not rightly fit a place in the category of religion. We know that in our books, a clear distinction is made between two sets of truth. The one set is that which abides forever, being built upon the nature of man, the nature of the soul's relation to God, the nature of God, perfection, and so on. There are also the principles of cosmology, of infinitude of creation, and more correctly speaking, projection, the wonderful law of cyclical procession, and so on. These are the eternal principles founded upon the universal laws of nature. The other set comprises the minor laws which guided the working of our everyday life. They belong more properly to the Puranas, to the Smritis, and to the Shrutis. They have nothing to do with the other principles. Even in our own nation, these minor laws have been changing all the time. Customs of one age, of one yuga, have not been the customs of another. And as yuga comes after yuga, they will still have to change. Great rishis will appear and lead us to customs and manners that are suited to new environments. The great principles underlying all this wonderful, infinite, ennobling, expansive view of man and the God and the world have been produced in India. In India alone, man has not stood up to fight for a little tribal God, saying, my God is true and yours is not true. Let us have a good fight over it. It was only here that such ideas did not occur as fighting for little gods. These great underlying principles, being based upon the eternal nature of man, are as potent today for working for the good of the human race as they were thousands of years ago. And they will remain so long as this earth remains, so long as the law of karma remains, so long as we are born as individuals and have to work out our own destiny by our own individual power. And above all, what India has to give to the world is this. If we watch the growth and development of religions in different races, we shall always find this, that each tribe at the beginning has a god of its own. If the tribes are allied to each other, these gods will have a generic name, as for example, the Babylonian gods had. When the Babylonians were divided into many races, they had the generic name of Baal, just as the Jewish races had different gods with a common name of Moloch. And at the same time, you will find that one of these tribes becomes superior to the rest and lays claim to its own king as the king over all. Therefrom, it naturally follows that it also wants to preserve its own god as the gods of all races. Baal Merodach, says the Babylonians, was the greatest god. All the others were inferior. Moloch Yahweh was the superior over all other Molochs. And these questions had to be decided by the fortunes of battle. The same struggle was also here. In India, the same competing gods had been struggling with each other for supremacy. But the great good fortune of this country and of the world was that there came out in the midst of the din and confusion a voice which declared that which exists is one. Sages call it by various names. It is not that Shiva is superior to Vishnu, not that Vishnu is everything and Shiva is nothing, but it is the same one whom you call either Shiva or Vishnu or by 100 other names. The names are different, but it is the same one. The whole history of India you will read in these few words. The whole history has been repetition in massive language with tremendous power of that one central doctrine. It was repeated in the land till it had entered into the blood of the nation, till it began to tingle with every drop of blood that flowed in its veins, till it became one with the life, part and parcel of the material of which it was composed. And thus the land was transmuted into the most wonderful land of toleration, giving the right to welcome the various religions as well as all sections into the old mother country.